What's up, Drop Pod listeners? You can check out new episodes of the Drop Podcast every Wednesday, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find all of our content on YouTube at the Drop Golf Podcast and on our socials. That's Instagram and Twitter at the Drop_pod. No matter how you consume us, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Follow and listen along.
This episode is presented by All County Exteriors. Discover the excellence of All County Exteriors, a third-generation leader in premier exterior home remodeling, proudly celebrating over 40 years of success. While most remodeling companies last just 5 years, All County Exteriors has withstood the test of time, consistently delivering top-quality roofing, siding, windows, and doors. Their expertise extends from small repairs to large additions, serving homeowners and builders alike. More than just a construction company, All County Exteriors is deeply committed to community service, proudly supporting organizations such as the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the American Cancer Society, Roofs for Troops, and Parents of Autistic Children. If you have planned to do any exterior remodeling, call the experts at All County Exteriors for a free, no-obligation estimate for your project. Just call 732-370-2780 or email them at info@allcountyonline.com. That's 732-370-2780 for All County Exteriors for all your remodeling needs. This is the Drop Podcast where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Poro, and this is Ryan Coulott.
What's up, Drop Pod people? How you doing this week? Mike and I coming at you, episode 82. Keeping it rolling here. We got a big guest today. Mike and I were able to interview Hollywood Golf Club, the golf course itself that is holding the 4-ball championship. It was very fun to talk to a golf course. It's a very unique experience that we had. The voice of Hollywood actually, very interestingly, sounds an awful lot like Bryan Dougherty, who is the director of instruction at Hollywood. So kind of unique there. But Bryan jumped back on. If you remember, we had Bryan on a couple weeks ago, talked about his experience in golf, and we kind of interviewed Bryan. But with the New Jersey 4-ball coming up, the first major of the year, Hollywood hosting it, we wanted to have Bryan come back on and talk about the golf course itself, and literally explain it as if the golf course was talking, kind of what each hole was. We kind of break down the holes and go into, basically a what to expect from the golf course kind of thing. So Bryan was kind enough to jump back on and talked about it, and was clearly getting geeked up talking about the golf course and how exciting it is, how good the course is going to play, how good it looks right now. It was very Mike, you could see it in him. Like he was getting giddy. It was pretty cool to see.
It's a great preview. It's a great preview for the 4-ball championships, the first major of the NJSGA season. It's a must listen to for anybody that is going to be playing on May 7th. You got to listen to Bryan. He goes in and out of holes 1 through 18.
Yeah, it was. If you're playing in it, you'd be foolish not to listen to it, because this is a guy that plays it daily, that works at the course, that knows how the course is supposed to be played, knows what Walter Travis was trying to do in 1917, what Tom Doak was thinking in 2014 when he redid it. Like he knows the course as well as anybody, knows what's trying to happen, how you need to play it, and walks us through it. So it was really good. Mike, this week we got Monday. We had Mike first, Hammond Creek, par 5, 9th hole. I know you got some. I know people were giving you a tough time for constantly playing short holes. Here's a par 5, which is nice to see on the scorecard. There's no TPI Tuesdays anymore, so we took yesterday off. Today, episode 82 coming at you. Again, always head over to YouTube, subscribe over there. You can watch us on the YouTube channel as Mike and I are recording this. Tomorrow, Thursday, not going to be a Ryan's verse, but we're kind of calling these like Monday is Mike's Monday, Mike Content Mondays. Ryan content Thursdays. So I don't have a Ryan's verse this week, but 3 with me, True Blue Golf Club is coming out this week. If you remember a couple weeks ago, I was down in the Myrtle Beach, the Grand Strand area, and I recorded a 3 with me at True Blue. So I'm going to have that come out this week, tomorrow, Thursday. Head over to YouTube to watch it. Again, it's a more long form video, so make sure you head over there. So that's kind of a recap / preview of our schedule coming up.
Magic Mike Mondays. I kind of like that. Magic Mike Mondays. I kind of like that. I don't like that.
I don't remember saying Magic Mike, but yeah, we could roll with that. Magic.
Just rewind it. Rewind it. You said it. Rewind it. You said Magic Mike Mondays.
Magic Mike Mondays. Okay. So there we go. So again, putting Mike out on Mondays, me on Thursdays, but honestly, this is going to be the last one for a little bit because we got some breaking news. We are going to be changing some things up. We put out a poll on Instagram. Mike and I have been thinking how we can better ourselves. What our ultimate goal here is. How do we get more? Again, trying to always to get more followers, to get more action, to get more content, to get more this, more that. We're trying to always be better and put out the best product we can for you guys. And we've been trying to think of ways. And again, we came out with that Instagram poll on Sunday for you guys. And ultimately it came back that you guys liked the idea of having 2 episodes a week. So we're going to have our episode where it's Mike and I talking it up, chatting it up, talking different topics, golf, Garden State, all that stuff. That's going to be Tuesday. And then Thursdays is going to be our interview. Whoever our guest is, whoever we're going to drop that interview with. And while we haven't missed an episode with a guest in 2024, if we don't have a guest, we'll let you know, and we just won't have anything out on that Thursday. But we've been pretty good with rolling with guests, and so that's going to be a little change. So as I had said, Ryan content is going to be on Thursdays with 3 with me this week. That's going to change to Wednesday. So we're going to go Tuesday, the episode, Wednesday, Ryan content, Thursday, the interview for whoever is that week. So we got some big changes coming up and some big things on the horizon, and we're trying some different things. And I'll tell you, Mike, I'll tease it here. I don't know if we're going to talk about it later, but we're starting out with a bang next week, an interview that is a banger.
Yeah, so, I mean, listen, I think it's a 2.0 episode. It's a 2.0 episode. Thankfully, we were able to lock in, Dan Hicks way back when, last year before the Players Championship, and he came on and talked about like the tournament with Cam Smith not being able to go there to defend the title because he went over to live. And this year we're getting Dan Hicks back on. And what better way to start this new evolution of the Drop Podcast by us keeping what we typically do for all our listeners, for all our followers every Tuesday. Now they'll get to listen to just you and I talk about all the good things going on here, golfing in the Garden State. And then Thursday, they can tune back in to listen to the interview. So they're not listening for over an extended period of time. We're kind of separating a little bit. And who better than the voice of NBC Golf, Dan Hicks? And listen, we dive into a lot of topics. And with Pinehurst right around the corner, with NBC Golf hosting that major, it's going to be a great one to get us started on this new change within the podcast. And I think it's just, like you and I say, what ways can we improve at? And this is just another one to give the audience more of us, more of our amazing guests, and just find ways to constantly get better. So listen, we listen. Do you have suggestions? Do you have ideas? Do you have thoughts? I'm not going to say we're going to take every single one, but when we like them and we think they can make sense and we can put them into action, here's just another example.
Which is great. We're excited about it. It's something new. We joined the Golfer Gang Network, and we talked about that and how we did all of our due diligence for that. And now this is something we've also been thinking about for a while. We did some due diligence. We did some talking to people, and, just something that we're going to, at least try for a little bit, even if we go 6, 8 weeks, 2, 3 months, something like that, and then decide, what, this isn't working. We may go back, but again, we're trying to throw as much stuff against the wall, see what sticks, what you guys like best, and what's best for our brand, our product, all that kind of stuff. So again, we're making a change next week, Tuesday. Make sure you check us out. Don't look for us Wednesday. Check it out Tuesday. You can also look for us Wednesday. It'll just be a day behind. You'll still find us, though. Kind of talking, in that same realm, Mike, we're creeping up on 4,000 followers on Instagram. And if you remember when we talked about it, we had 3,000 just about 2 months ago. I know you're the numbers guy. I'm sure you probably have that all fired away, but that doesn't feel like that long ago. It happened pretty quickly.
And I think that goes to the point of let's find ways to constantly improve. If people are following, if people are listening and they want more of what we can provide, let's find ways to do that. And we've said it on many, many occasions. This is not our career. This is not our main job. This is not something that we do other than we just love talking golfing in the Garden State. We love getting guests on. We love experiencing all the things. And when you can see numbers for us that are just a two-man operation, we publish everything, we create everything, we develop everything, we edit everything. When numbers are going up like that in such a faster margin than what we're used to, clearly the itch is there for more. And this is just another way with us finding ways to attract more than almost 1,000 followers in a 2-month span, where we were talking between 6 and 8 months, we were getting 1,000 followers. To do it in nearly just over 2 months is speaking to the levels of where this is going. So clearly the audience wants more. Clearly the followers want more. And this is just another way for us to do that. So yeah, listen, 4K is on the horizon, and I can't lie, we'll be there before you know it.
Which is huge. It really is. I would encourage all 4 of those, or not all 4, all 4,000 of those followers to head over to YouTube, because the subscriptions are not equal over there. So again, if you're following us on Instagram, jump over to YouTube, just subscribe, give us a like when our stuff comes up. Again, some of the stuff we can't post on Instagram because it doesn't fit or it's not the right place for it. So that's why it lives in YouTube for some of the stuff. So again, 4,000 followers on Instagram is great. Let's see if we can jump up our YouTube numbers there.
Are you looking for the perfect place to tee it up this season? Or just looking for a great spot for casual comfort food? Or how about the most picturesque backdrop for the wedding of your dreams? Then you need to go visit Galloping Hill Golf Course in Kenilworth, New Jersey, conveniently located in Union County, right off exit 138 on the Garden State Parkway. Galloping Hill encompasses over more than 270 beautiful acres. It was again ranked in the top 10 of best public golf courses in New Jersey. Galloping Hill also offers a top 50 in the country learning center with 52 stalls and a 45,000 square foot practice area. In addition to a 9-hole course that is ranked in the top 10 of short courses in the entire country, Galloping Hill is more than just golf. The Hill Tavern Bar and Grill is a gastropub with seasonal food and beer options updated regularly with amazing views of the course. Hosting over 100 golf outings and over 400 social events per year, their catering team consistently wins awards each year from the Knot and the Wedding Wire. Schedule a tour for your special event at the clubhouse at gallopinghill.com. It's all happening this year at Galloping Hill Golf Course.
Mike, we had some big news in the Garden State this week in the golf world. Not only was Rickie Fowler and Justin Thomas playing golf in New Jersey randomly on seemingly a week off, they just came and did some practicing. They wanted to play the course, but they came and played Pine Valley. which is very cool in its own right. Really awesome stuff. Again, I don't know how often that happens. Are pros on off weeks jumping up and like, hey, I really want to play Bayonne, or I really want to play Ridgewood, or like maybe. I don't know that. I don't know if you know that, but I don't know. But then to have Rickie Fowler have a hole-in-one at Pine Valley and have it be recorded is really pretty cool. So why don't you get into, you know a little bit more about the behind the scenes here. Why don't you get into this? You're our Pine Valley connoisseur expertise on the show. It's a 1-0 lead you got, but you're still the Pine Valley guy here. Tell us about what was that hole like? What was the tell us. Get into it.
Yeah,
with us.
Listen, it's a crazy, crazy story, because just like a lot of us, you have different people that you talk to, different people that you connect with, and I want to say that it's one night I'm just sitting at at my house, and I get a message saying check this out. And I watch it. And it's Rickie Fowler at Pine Valley making a hole-in-one on the par 3 third hole. Now, that same pin was the same pin that I played when I got to play in August. And it's kind of like a little bit of a funnel pin that if you hit it behind it, there's chances it does go in. So I'm watching this video and I see Rickie Fowler make it. I see Justin Thomas jump on the guy's back. And I'm like, oh my God, this video is a viral
Ride him like
video.
Seabiscuit.
Right. This video is a viral video. I got it. I am going to be the one that pushes it out there. Then I get sent a picture of Eli Manning, who, if we don't know, he's the member there. Then you got Justin Thomas. You got Rickie Fowler holding the flag. And I'm thinking here we go. Now, I was sworn to secrecy that I could not pass this out. I could keep it myself. I could look at it. I could talk about it, but I can't push it out. I have all this evidence the night before anybody else has it. Before it goes on any type of Rickie Fowler tracker, Golf Digest, I have it before it all. But I swore to secrecy that I'd keep it here. And I respect that.
And we keep our words.
And I respect that. You asked me for a favor. You're sending me something that's super private from the super private spot like Pine Valley. I can respect that. Well, lo and behold, do you know not 12 hours later that Rickie Fowler's tracker, not only on Twitter, not only has the exact same video that I have, but they also have the picture that I have, that someone leaked it to them and they push it out there. So I make a phone call and I talk to the individual and they're like, well, now it's free game because now it's out there. You can just tag them and that's where it came from. And I'm sitting there and I have to respect that because the video was sent to me anonymously. It was sent to me to secrecy. So I kept it there. But the fact that Rickie Fowler's tracker got it, pushed it. So then 2 nights ago, I start going back and forth with Rickie Fowler's tracker on DM and Instagram. And we're talking. And he's asking me, where did I get the video from? I'm asking him where he got the video from. Neither one of us are going to say where we got it from. But Rickie Fowler's tracker on Instagram and I are going back and forth. He ends up sharing the post that I ended up making about having it, basically just grabbing it from his Twitter account and just posting it there. But we were going back and forth about how it was divvied up. And I felt like, to some aspect, I was like Dan Rappaport. I felt like I was Adam Schefter. I had inside information that I didn't even tell you that I got because I was afraid that if I sent the video out one time, because I was told I could send it amongst my boys. You know how that works. That never works well. Somehow, some way that boy leaks it and I'm the asshole. So I kept it to myself, but I can't lie.
At some point, someone's going to be the asshole where you might share it to me. I might share and your boys, right? Maybe you send it to your dad, your brother, you got 2 or 3 other buddies in your golfing group, right? And then they send it out to 3 or 4 of their buddies. At some point, 50 people have it, and one of those people is a squealer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I sat on it. I tried my hardest to see if I could get the thumbs up, but I didn't want to get anybody in trouble because I respect the process too much. I respect Pine Valley too much. I respect just the aura of that place. So I didn't want to do anything that would be damaging to Mike Porro ever visiting that place again.
And for those that don't know, Pine Valley is a no phones facility. So this is why like it's like a secrecy kind of thing, because if there's no phones,
Right.
how did the video get taken? So
Right. Yeah. So you knew, so you kind of, with that being out there like that in a raw form like that, clearly someone was breaking the rules, and last thing I need to do is get somebody in trouble, based upon that. So that's why I kind of sat on the whole thing. But listen, you heard Justin Thomas say way back when that if there was one course he wanted to play that he had never played, it was Pine Valley. He came out and flatly said that in a press conference a few months ago. It just so happens that him and Rickie fly up. They're out there playing. Eli's the member. They're playing with Eli. So listen, it was a crazy scene. I can't lie. You think I was on my phone a lot. That 72-hour stretch, I was on my phone a shit ton. Because it was back and forth trying to make sure like this didn't get out, that didn't get out. But listen, when you talk golfing in the Garden State, we say it every single episode. There's not a better spot to play golf in than here. And I will fight that to anybody at Golf Digest, any follower, listener, anybody that DMs me on Instagram. I will take it to the bank that I'll compare this to that and find ways that I think that this place is the best. And when these guys come up here and they experience that, I think that validates part of our argument here.
it has to. I mean, if they're taking it's not like the PGA Tour is within hours of it's not like they got to the tour event in Philadelphia. They're not playing Marion and we're just like, hey, let's go play Pine Valley on Monday because, we're here Sunday and let's go, like it's close. No, they're nowhere near. So we're talking about a private jet on a specific location, destination. This is the time we're taking it. And it was, really, really awesome. Not only is the whole thing awesome, I think something that goes underlying here is that Eli's a member at Pine Valley. And I know Eli Manning is Eli Manning, right? And Giants fans all say Hall of Famer, multiple Super Bowl winner, MVPs, that kind of stuff. I got it. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but we're not a football podcast. I always was under the impression that Pine Valley had a super, super small, what's the word I'm looking for? Membership. Yeah. I was always under that impression. I always thought that there was like 50 members at Pine Valley. And I was a little blown away that Eli was one of those, in my mind, 50 members. But to your point, as we were talking, you said, no, it's more like 250. So I don't know how many members are there. It's, again, super exclusive. You got to be invited, all that kind of stuff. But obviously Eli's getting the invite. It was just, it kind of took me aback a little bit that Eli is the member there. So really, really pretty cool.
Yeah, honestly, when you talk membership, I'm guessing the number, but I just quickly typed it into Wikipedia just out of curiosity to see like what is the number, how many, and they say it's over 900 members spread throughout the world. So you're talking people could be from anywhere that are frankly a member. It's
Right.
really in terms of like you got to think, if I'm a member, I'm not going there to play a game there. I don't want 3 other members you're a member at Pine Valley to bring people there to showcase the golf course.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like Augusta, it's invitation based only. You clearly are somebody in your field, or a somebody in your field. But listen, special place, special people, special hole-in-ones.
No doubt. How far was the hole? Do you know?
I think they said it was like 180 yards, like 179. Okay. It's a little bit down a hill. Who cares how long it is? You made a hole-in-one at Pine Valley.
I'm just saying.
I don't care if it was 30 yards. Discover Matera's Italian Market and Catering in the heart of Rutherford, New Jersey. Nestled at 72 Park Avenue, your go-to destination for creating an authentic Italian dining experience. Recently honored as the best in Bergen County, Matera's is amazing from the moment you step inside. Immerse yourself in a world of imported retail products, cheeses, premium cold cuts, and the freshest baked bread, all complemented by the irresistible, creamy, fresh mozzarella. Experience convenience at your fingertips by ordering through the Materas On Park app, available on both Apple and Google stores. Above the Market, the Loft is perfect for intimate family celebrations or even corporate events. For a sneak peek into Matara's world, follow them on Instagram at Matara's Italian Market. Step into Matara's and say ciao. Walk in as stranger, leave as family.
Mike, I actually, before we kind of get into some PGA Championship kind of stuff, I have a from the gallery that has to do with holes in ones.
Uh-oh.
Are you ready?
Sure.
We've talked about hole in ones, and we've talked about like which ones count and which ones don't count, right? Like a pitch and putt. We're not counting a hole in one at that kind of place. A 9-hole par 3 course. Are you counting that? And there's one in specific. There's not many of them anymore, right? But like you remember Twin Brook, right? The old Twin Brook, like the golf course itself.
Yeah, vaguely. I never played it, but I've heard of it. In Monmouth County.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, vaguely.
Right. It's now an Amazon superstore kind of thing, but
nice.
I mean, it was every hole was a par 3. Every hole was it had grass. It wasn't like you were hitting off mats or anything like that. Whenever I played there, even the 9th hole, like it was a little bit uphill. It was like 210. But there were times I hit driver when I was first getting involved in golf because it really played closer to 250 at times, depending on the wind. So are you counting one of those kinds of courses, like a par 3 or an executive course, like a Bel Air, or only 18-hole?
Tough question. Am I counting it?
I asked it. I come to ask it.
Am I counting it? Probably not. Me personally, I'm probably not counting it. And I know that Orson, our buddy Orson, who is like the godfather of New Jersey golf, like may argue with me here, but I have a hard time. Would I say I made a hole in one? I'd say, yeah, but then I'd preface it and say, I made it at the Cradle. I made it at the short course. I made it at this
So hold
place.
on. This is the difference. The Cradle, you're hitting off mats. This is still it's
an executive course. To me, it does. It's
no,
not
to me, there's a difference there. There's a difference there in like if you're hitting off grass compared to mats. You know what I mean? Like mats is
but that doesn't define it to me. That doesn't define if it's a golf course. To me, it's like, is it a golf course that has a slope and rating? And then, like, is it a 18-hole golf course? I don't know. My answer is no. I am not counting it. But if someone were to ask me, and that's the only hole in one I have, I'd say I made a hole in one on an executive course from here. Now, I guess it ends up being the individual if they count that or not. But personally, I'm saying no. Like, I made 3 hole in ones, period. Made 3. If I don't have one and I say I made it there, like, I don't know. Maybe I say it.
Okay.
So no.
I'm pretty sure that it was sloped and rated. The same way that, like, again, if we're comparing like Bel Air's an executive course, it's a par 63 or 64 or whatever it is. I'm pretty sure those are sloped and rated. And I'm pretty sure that Twin Brook was as well. Again, all of them were par 3s, but I think it was.
Oh, listen, I don't know.
Are you digging? Are you digging? It looks like you're digging into some numbers there.
I'm trying to process it in my mind, and I personally cannot get there. The answer is a no in my book. So no, I'm not counting it. I'd say congrats. Go play a real golf course. Jokingly, no, but all serious. No, I'm not. The answer is no.
Okay, so to me, the mats matter. Like what you're playing matters to me. And if you're hitting off of grass to a green, that's obviously also green, and it's a par 3 course, like a Twin Brook, I don't think I'm counting it. Now, if it's a par 3 course like the Cradle, where, and here's the other thing. Again, I'm using Twin Brook as the example because this friend of mine has a hole in one at Twin Brook, and I witnessed it. The Cradle is probably in nicer condition than Twin Brook was, but you're hitting off mats. And to me, that takes away some of the like golfness of it. Like there's something about it that like that's not real golf. Whereas like some of these places, like also the Cradle has holes that are 62 yards. Like that's not real yardage to me. Again, Twin Brook had some shorter holes, but they were still like 100 yards. Like it was still real. They were all real par 3s. Real grass, real distance, real greens, real bunkers, real everything. It was just all par 3. So I don't know. I count it. It's the when it doesn't look like real golf, hitting off the mats doesn't look like real golf to me. So that's why I wouldn't. I don't. That's why I have a tougher time, or I should say, an easier time counting something at Twin Brook. I wanted to start with that because that wasn't the actual question I wanted to ask, but I wanted to start there and get your taste on that. Is there a bigger difference, or what do you think of the difference? Because again, I'm talking about this friend of mine that has, we were chatting about this, that has a hole in one on at Twin Brook, par 3 golf course, and has a hole in one on the island green at the PGA course.
Sawgrass?
Sawgrass.
He made a hole in one at Sawgrass on 17 on his first shot.
Yep.
So no offense to your friend. I mean, I need to talk to this guy, but the fact that he's going to compare this to that, he should be embarrassed to say that he made a hole in one in Twin Brook. Yeah, that should never come up in conversation. His conversation should be, I made a hole in one at the most famous par 3 in the world, 17 at Sawgrass. Don't ever bring up Twin Brook. That's an embarrassment to your hole in one at Sawgrass.
Can you get a wider range there?
No.
Think about that difference.
I thought you were about to tell me he made a hole in one at a mini golf and is trying to compare that to Twin Brook. That is probably the only major stretch that you're going to compare Sawgrass anywhere else to, because that is your friend needs to DM the Drop Podcast ASAP, because I might need to give him a little lesson on understanding the importance of hole in ones.
Okay. Expect a DM then.
Expect a response.
Yeah, we were chatting about it. And
there's nothing to chat about. The fact that you'd entertain that conversation is absurd.
You don't say that he has 2 hole in ones. You're only saying 1 hole in one.
If I'm your buddy and I have 1 hole in one or 70 hole in ones, the only one I am referencing is the one that matters. And you know how many people would die on the sword to make a hole in one at the 17 at Sawgrass? Maybe the 7th hole at Pebble is another spot that people want it. Maybe the 12th at Augusta. Fine. But the fact that you're doing it on the most famous hole of any
Those
video,
are the Mount Rushmores of them.
Yeah, the video games, like the fact that your buddy even brings up Twin Brook is an embarrassment. Your buddy needs to talk about one thing and one thing only. By the way, I made a hole in one to TPC Sawgrass number 17.
He does. He likes to mention it, but
he should only mention it.
I would count it as 2. I would say I have 2 hole in ones. One of them's at Sawgrass. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, kudos to your buddy, but he needs a little lesson on understanding the importance and the value of one over the other. Doesn't even have a conversation about Twin Brook. Should act like it didn't even happen.
Even if the one at Twin Brook is longer.
Who cares?
Longer hole.
Who cares? Rod, you're arguing against, or the fact that your buddy wants to even compare apples to apples. This conversation needs to end, because just as quickly as he brought it up to you, you needed to shut it down. Like, hey, You made a hole in one in 17 in Sawgrass. Zip it. End of conversation. I don't need to hear about Twin Brook. I don't need to hear about the mini golf on the island that you played. Doesn't matter.
Mini golf's off mats. It doesn't count.
Does he have the ball?
I'm sure he does because he's not a crazy person like you are. I know they
rare
gave
breed. Rare breed.
Yeah, rare breed. One, they broke the mold with you. I know he's got like a big kind of like shadow box of like he's got some stuff in it. I would imagine the ball is in there, but 100% sure, no. 99% sure though. Mike, that leads us into the PGA Championship coming up here. We got a bunch of professionals from New Jersey going over to qualify.
No, they're in. They're in. This is the PGA Professional Championship. If you recall back in April of last year when we sat down with Bryan Dougherty, I think he called it like the PPPC, Professional Players Champions, the PPC, where our local pros get to go play in the local championship, and there's 10 of them.
Right, but isn't this the qualifier for the PGA Championship?
Oh yes, to get to the big
time. That's what I meant, to get to the big time. That's what I meant.
Yeah. I thought you meant to get into this tournament.
No. So this is the big one, the second big one.
Yep.
But then if they finish top 20 or whatever in this, then they go over to the PGA Championship.
Yeah, big time.
So this is the he did call it something like the
PPC, I think he called it.
PPC, yep. And the guys from New Jersey, I know we have their names here. Do you have their matching clubs? We can go through them.
I don't. I don't know off the top of my head. I didn't. I just saw their 10 names. I just figured,
Yeah.
If you wanted to shout them out, you could.
We certainly do. But without the clubs, I don't want to offend anybody. But Bill Hook, Tyler Hall, Grant Sturgeon, Frank Esposito, Nick Bova. We know Nick's at Hamilton. Brian Colpfeiffer. We know Brian's at North Jersey Country Club. Jamie Pearson, Matt Hardy, Anthony King, and Gabe Rivera. Congrats to those guys. This is a big honor. And again, best of luck going to they played Fields Ranch.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, PGA Frisco in Texas. So, listen, and also Danny Lewis is in the field too. Former Hollywood guy. Speaking of Hollywood, it's a big Hollywood episode. He's out there. He's out there from Pennsylvania. I know he's not a New Jersey guy anymore, but he's still a New Jersey guy at heart for us.
New Jersey at Jace.
Yeah. So
good luck, Danny.
He's out there as well. And listen, the famous Michael Block's out there too. So, listen, it'd be nice to see one of our New Jersey guys get through and make it over to Valhalla at the PGA Championship. That would be pretty sweet. So best of luck to those guys. I know that's ongoing as we speak. So hopefully they're getting it done. Real quick, let me get into this thing. I just want to kind of throw this out there. I know I put out a little post here. Anything that we can do to help promote golfing in the Garden State is kind of been our niche here. And this was passed along to me and asked if I would do them a solid. So I figured I have no problem, to do that. And, obviously if you are playing in the Union PBA golf outing on Monday, May 6th, inside each of your Yetis that you'll receive as kind of like a gift is our sticker. I sent 100 stickers out to those guys to help promote the podcast, to get it out to more people. And if they had not heard of us, that gives them a way to learn about us and the things that we do. But if you are interested in playing, they're playing out at Yardley Country Club in Yardley, PA. I know some people may say, well, Mike, that's not golfing in the Garden State. But if you know where Ewing is, it's legitimately 15 minutes west of where they are. So it's not too far of a drive. And in terms of golf course and, experience, this one provided the best opportunity for them. So if you are interested in playing, shoot me a DM because it's a great golf course with great people for a great cause. So shoot me a DM if you're interested in the Ewing PBA golf outing.
Always a good cause. Anytime that you can do an outing, it's always something good there. Mike, want to give a shout out. The Zurich Classic. A couple guys made the cut. Chris Gotterup and his partner Austin Eckroat, I believe is how he pronounces it. And Max Grazerman and his partner Nick. We'll go Nick E.
Oh, sorry, it's a typo. Nico Estravara.
Oh, Nico Estravara. So congrats to those guys making
they were playing
making
well.
a cut. That's
Listen, after a few rounds, I saw that Max and Nico were up there. I know we're recording before they finish out there at the Zurich, so we don't get to see it. But I know at one point heading into the final round, they were T5, Max and Nico. So be curious to see if they could push Rory and his buddy Shane Lowry a little bit to see if they see if they can get a little title push. But again, we talk about it every single week. New Jersey guys, we're here to help. We're here to promote. We're here to talk about them. Cashing checks, making cuts. That's what matters.
Yeah, for sure. And on the Corn Ferry Tour, speaking of New Jersey guys, Morgan Hoffman took the week off this week. So nothing for Morgan this week. So, I know coming up on the PGA Tour, I think all of them are in. Chris, Ryan, and Max are playing in the Byron Nelson coming up. So again, cash and checks and getting points. That's what we're about right now. So good luck to those guys. Congrats to those guys, and good luck moving forward.
I got one more thing before you kick it to the Hollywood Golf Club.
Okay.
So we need to give a quick shout out to the NJSGA. I'm gonna probably butcher this, but the Coffer Cup. I don't know if I said that correctly, so if I didn't, I apologize.
Sounded right.
But for the first time in 20 years, the NJSGA team defeated the Gap at one of the Union League golf courses there in Pennsylvania, Torresdale. So it was the first time they won since 2004. Amazing accomplishment for those guys that were selected to play on the team. And some of the names on there are studly. I don't know if you got to see some of the names on our team.
It's funny you say it. I didn't hear about this, so I just pulled up. Wow.
Do you see that? Do you see that team?
Wow. Look at this team.
Team is loaded. And I'm actually kind of surprised that Michael Brown played on our team, because I know he's also a Gap guy, and the same thing with Troy Venucci. But
so's Troy.
But I guess Troy and Mike are two former players of the year, Troy being the reigning one. It'd be hard to jump ship over to the Gap, knowing that really your golf courses where you keep your handicap are located here in New Jersey. So it kind of makes sense for them to stay home. But man, do you see that team?
Loaded, dude.
Loaded,
this is
bro. Loaded. That's like kind of like the who's who of New Jersey amateur golfers that are non-college players.
Wow.
I mean, you go on a list.
This is quite a list. I mean, and these are some of these guys, like we've had on a bunch: Jason Bataille, Michael Brown, Anthony Campanile, Austin Devereaux from Manasquan. Do you know? I've never heard of him.
Just a horse. He's just a horse. Just a horse.
Michael Stamberger, Troy Venucci, Pat Will. Like we haven't had Michael Stamberger on, but we did get to talk to him, and I know how you know him. But like, there's wow, dude, wow, just wow.
You kind of look at that team and you say, listen. They made it a point to bring the best of the best to finally get a dub in this tournament that they've have with the Gap. Because, I mean, if you even look at the score wasn't even close. It was 13.5 to 4.5.
Just looking at that, this is an absolute thunder punching, and you can tell why. Those names are loaded, absolutely loaded. Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. I look at the Gap side. I don't know any of these.
Me neither.
I don't know any of those names or any of those clubs.
Yeah,
so it can't be like again. We talked like again. We just said
Salkin Valley's on there. Salkin Valley's on there. We've heard of that one, but the rest, I agree.
Like talking about like Ewing being just 15 minutes away. Okay, so Yardley is in. We could be the same thing with like the Met. We could go into New York. Like yes, we're New Jersey, but it's the tri-state area we could get into, and Eastern Pennsylvania can fall into that. But still, yeah, I don't know any of these names or any of these guys, but that team is Loaded, dude. Loaded. That's crazy.
Yep. So congrats to those guys. First time winning in
Yeah.
20 years. Way to represent golfing in the Garden State at its finest.
Do you know what happened? Who was not on this team from last year?
I honestly didn't look
Like, did
because
they
I was so excited they finally won
Yeah.
and I could actually comment on it. But I don't know the difference of who was and who wasn't. I don't. But clearly that is the who's who of
Yeah.
amateur golf in New Jersey on a
For
non-collegiate level.
Yeah.
I got one more thing for you. And I know I said I was done, but
Nope,
breaking now, this will be a quick little snippet. Cause anytime you get a text from Jerry Poro, it's kind of breaking news. It's kind of breaking news. Yeah. So Jerry Poro shoots me a text.
When you coming on the podcast?
Yeah, he ain't coming on the podcast, but he sends his text to me. So listen to this.
Just now? He said just now?
Just now.
Okay.
Says, so listen to this. Daniel Berger walks by me in Publix this morning. I yell over to him, no golf today? Berger yells back, nope, no golf today. And those two continue on their way in Publix in Jupiter, Florida.
That's too funny.
Yeah. So Jerry Poro, Danny Berger. I guess they're buddies.
Making friends in Publix. That's too good. Mr. Poro, thank you for chiming in. Again, any open invite for whenever you want to come on the podcast. Mike, before we go, we do like to say, follow along on the Gin app to see what's going on. And I don't hound it like you do. But I saw you shot a very low number yesterday.
I did. I went low, really low. So, Maggie and I wanted to get out and play some golf. So we, thankfully the people over at Eagle Ridge are super nice. Riley, Alan, Bob, the whole crew over there, just welcomed us with open arms. And we went out there and we got 14 holes in. I shot 59. 59. I mean, you take it for what it's worth. Probably the first time I've ever entered a score with the number 5 in it. That was more than 9 holes.
Yeah.
So if you check the Gin app and you have me favored and starred, it says 59. But in parentheses, it says 14 because I only played 14 holes. But
it does say it in there. Yeah.
I shot 59.
That was the thing. I think it's new. It's a new update for the Gin app. They can count, if you played if you play 9, put in 9 holes, but if you played X amount of holes, it'll fill out and give you a round handicap for that round. It did it for me when I played Beacon Hill. I know you had asked that because I had shot and posted something differently. So because of the way that they're doing work on the course, so there's one hole that's a little different. But anyway, it's So when I saw that, I saw the 59. It's pretty impressive number. So I thought it'd be interesting to shout you out there for those that are hawking you on there. My quest for breaking 80 came fairly close. I got 82 and 84 under my belt since I said I'm going to break 80. So, we'll see what comes of it. But as we always say, you can favor us on the Gin app. They've really done some nice jobs with the update. It looks a little odd seeing a 59 in there, but it is. I think that's just it. It says 14 holes, and it's just something that hits the eye a little differently when you see a 59 on there. So you can favor us, follow along, see when we're golfing, and give us a hard time if you want to, or give us a high five. Mike, I think we're done. Yeah. So we are now going to send you to our guest for this week, the Hollywood Golf Club, as voiced by Bryan Dougherty, recapping, or I should say previewing the 2024 NJSGA 4-ball, which is going to be held May 7th, 8th, and 9th again, kind of a recap of the course and a little preview of what's to come for next week. So make sure you're following along and giving it a listen. And, from an outsider's perspective, I'm not playing in the tournament. If I were, I would want to listen because this is a breakdown of every hole and some good information on there. That's a couple good nuggets that are dropped in there. So enjoy our interview with Hollywood Golf Club and Bryan Dougherty. Cheers.
George Wall Ford in Red Bank, New Jersey is family owned and operated, proudly serving New Jersey residents with superior customer service since 1960. Rye, share your story about your experience there.
Mike, I went on a tangent in one of our episodes previously about it, but I can't say enough good things about George Wall Ford. I needed a new car. I had an old. I loved the brand that I had. I loved, it was an SUV, but had 165,000 miles on it. It was just time, So I hopped on over to George Wall Ford. I saw our guy Jerry, and Jerry and his team were awesome. I mean, from stem to stern, they're there, they're helping, they're knowledgeable. They have so many cars on the lot that you can go in and say, hey, I want a sunroof, a navigation. I want this kind of rims on it. I want this kind of this, that, and the other thing. There's a great chance that they have that car with all your specs, the color, all that thing. Me, I didn't particularly care. I just, I was like, hey, I want to be high up in the car, right? I need an SUV. I'm a big guy. I got a dog. I got golf clubs. I got beach chairs in the summer. I need something that's a little more rugged, a little more, again, I like to be higher in my car. And I went and saw Jerry. He pointed me in the right direction. And again, it's awesome to have that kind of help and support from your salesman to the finance guy to even they got somebody who helps you set up your car, right? I got an app on my phone now that's got my auto start on it. I can locate my car if I don't know where it is. I could take a trip to Japan if I wanted to and be like, did I lock my car? And I can go into the app and lock my car. So even people helping you set up that stuff, just the hands-on approach over there is incredible. So if you need a car, head on over to George Wall. And go ask for Jerry. They were awesome there. Again, stem to stern from everybody. I can't say enough good things about it. It was an unbelievable experience.
So to Ryan's point, there isn't a better place to shop for a brand new car. Just call 732-704-1932 and ask for Jeremy Wall. George Wall Ford in Red Bank for all your car buying needs. So today's guest, this is a unique way for us to kind of do this. But our guest today is Director of Instruction, Bryan Dougherty. Bryan was kind enough to give us some time, a few months ago. But really, the guest today is Hollywood Golf Club. They are the host of this year's NJSGA 4-Ball Championship. So I'd like to think for the first time ever, Rye, our guest is an actual golf course. So, Bryan, I can't thank you enough for coming on today's show to kind of, basically give us the ins and outs of this place, showcase it, tell us about it. I know Walter Travis was the designer to Tom Doak to all the amazing renovations that place has gone through. So again, let's dive into this. So tell us a little bit about Hollywood, the background, your upbringing there and the whole nine. So, and then we can kind of dive into more details.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, Hollywood it's always a joy for me to showcase Hollywood, right? Talk about the golf course because this golf course is special. And anyone that's ever been here and played, especially since the Doak renovation, there's never a negative word to say about this place. And it's really, really cool. I mean, you go downstairs in the first floor of our locker room and behind the bar, we have the, almost a big wooden board of all the championships we've hosted here. We've hosted everything locally, right? Everything from the NJSGA, NJPGA, the Met Golf Association. And I think the first Met Open was 1906, maybe 1908 here. I mean, we hosted one of the first Met Opens, and we enjoy hosting these events, right? I've been here 8 years now. I've played a fair amount of golf here. We actually have our second major of the year, our clam bake for the New Jersey PGA here again, and I'm super pumped for that. But this place everyone enjoys it because it's a super fair test of golf, right? There's certain skills that lend itself to playing well here, but everyone enjoys it. And we don't keep the rough really thick. The greens are firm and fast. Like, it's fair to everyone. The fairways are big enough. If you're playing well, you can really play well here. But if you're not, like, there's a lot of stuff you can get into trouble too. And I was looking actually last night, I said, let me just look at the course stats from last year for when the pros played here in the Clambake. And it surprised me, like some of the holes that played tougher and some of the holes that played easier. And we'll talk a little bit about this, but it's so hole location driven on which holes are birdie holes versus par holes when you're playing here. And it's good to kind of know when you see the hole location sheet when you get here, like what holes you might be able to birdie, what holes you aren't really birdie holes today. And we'll chat more about that, but it was interesting looking at those stats from last year. And we're super excited to host another event. The members always enjoy when the best players in the state come over here, and the course is phenomenal right now. You guys are going to see a great version of it next week, and we're going to be proud to put it on the board downstairs.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I played there as a kid in high school when they used to have the Challenge Cup, was Ocean County versus Monmouth County, and when one of the times, and that was probably one of the last times I've been there. So I'm dating myself here, probably a good 25 years since I've really played there. But one of the things that always continuously stands out in my mind amongst many things that I can get into, but is that first tee shot on the very first hole. Like, again, I don't know if things have changed since then, but it's legitimately, as you like walk up, it's right there. You're on full display, like you're already nervous hitting your first tee shot. Tell us a little bit about like that entrance with it being right there. If I remember correctly, there was like a little like shed or a barn or something that was right there on their side as you walked up. The caddies were all there. It's like, don't top this first one off the tee box right here. You're better off just spraying it way right into the water.
Yeah. You've definitely got an audience here on the first tee. It's one of these at the practice putting green. It's mown down through fairway cut. You walk off the practice putting green, you walk right to the first tee. The golf shop's on your right, the practice putting green and locker room on your left. The clubhouse is behind you. So, I mean, you tee off in the final round here, the final match, you're going to have 100 or so people watching you on that first tee because you can see it from everywhere. It's been updated a little bit over the years where there's like a little stream, a little reservoir over on the right side at like 260 to 280 out on the right. Another little kind of creek at like 300 on the left. But we cleared out some trees, made it more fescue. It kind of looks big and wide open on that first tee. A lot of guys will just lay up with something less than driver just to make sure they're not in the water. But then you have 170 to 190 approach into a green that's kind of falls off front right, falls off left. And if you miss the green long, like the green's super sloped back to front. So most guys tend to be aggressive. It's a 30, 35 yard wide fairway. And you just try to fit it between, kind of the two little water hazards there. And if you spray it right over the first one, you're fine. But yeah, it's appealing. It's an inviting because it's such a wide zone to land a driver in, but it's a 420 yard par four you can feel all the eyeballs on you. I mean, it's not intimidating looking golf hole, but it's intimidating in the setting it's in for sure.
No doubt there.
Yeah, that's something that stands out so much in my mind. But as you get into the front nine, I think each one of the holes has its own unique, I guess, identity. There's something different about each of them. And if I remember correctly, like even when you get to the second hole, it's not the longest of par fours, but there is some strategy that goes on there that you're not just blasting a driver. Correct me if I'm wrong. Has some things changed with number two?
Yeah. So over the years, not really. Some of the trees on the right side that would have blocked you from the green if you missed the shot right are gone. I think one of them got struck by lightning 4 or 5 years ago, and it kind of just died after that. So we moved the fescue in. So there's more. If you miss way right, instead of being in trees, it's now fescue. There's a fairway bunker you don't want to be in right around 270, 280 from the tee. So most guys will lay up a little bit over that, or they'll just challenge it with driver and have a little flip wedge in. But it's the green that really is the challenge of that place. Now, we redid the green over this winter. They dug it up, started over. It was a grass that would never really match the rest of the course, wasn't growing at the same rate. So they kind of just did a little exploration project. They found a bunch of weird stuff under the green. There's a cool video that they sent our members about just some old stuff that was kind of ruining like a burst pipe, like way underneath the grass. So they redid everything, and it hasn't been open yet. I think we're going to plan to open it either for our opening day tournament the day before the 4-ball or for the 4-ball. But it's got just a small 2-tier green for a short par 4. And like, this is one of the holes that stood out last year. Like when the hole location is back on a small little tier, you can't miss long left or right. You can miss short, but then you have the uphill 2-tier putt, right? So I'm looking at the stats from last year, and number 2 played as one of the easier holes, day 1 and day 3. Day 2, it played as the 4th toughest hole on the golf course. So that just says like the flag was in the back. So nobody went for it. Nobody made birdies. Look how many birdies there were. There were round 2, 5 birdies, right? So you have 100-ish, 110 New Jersey PGA pros playing a 370-yard par 4, and there were 5 birdies. So it just says it's all about the hole location. That's one of those that you play it smart. If it's an easy hole location, one of you guys should probably try to make birdie. If it's in the back, par is a fine score in that hole. And that's the cool part about this place is, number 1, big wide fairway, kinds of leads you out gently. Number 2 is a real short par 4. Number 3 is a big wide open drive. And then you kind of get into the meat of the golf course where it gets fun, like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that assessment more. Like the pin placement on where it needs to be is 100% accurate there, Brian. It's like if in that top right corner there on 2, hit it in the fairway, take your par. Par is as good as birdie par is as good as birdie on that day, because it's not gettable. You're not unless you make a long putt, you're not getting it, right?
Yeah, it's one of those that you find guys being too aggressive all the time. I mean, I'd say when I take members out on the golf course for like little mini playing lessons or something, like it's amazing how many people will say, all right, the flag's in the back, it's 125 yards. All right, so that's my full 9-iron. I go, nah, like you're not playing 125 yards. You're playing to 115. If you happen to hit it 10 yards long, get lucky, that's fine. But we are not trying to get anywhere near that hole. And that's the strategy of this place, which is really cool. And sometimes, the 4-ball is an interesting aspect here, because people tend to get a little too aggressive sometimes when their partner is in good shape. And that's a whole occasion where if you land it on top and it bounces over, your aggressiveness turned into an auto bogey, maybe double. So all of a sudden you're out of the hole by being just a tad bit too aggressive. And that's the stuff you're going to find all over this golf course is you're going to find the partner trying to be too aggressive sometimes, where there's really no margin for error at all, where you should just give yourself the 15, 20 footer and have 2 of those putts instead of somebody trying to hit it to 5 feet.
Or just get on your partner's back like I intend to do. But anyway, so I think, as we continue to go through the golf course, I think if you're talking signature holes in the front 9, and I think about the holes that we talk about, obviously you led us into 3, but I think number 4 is it. I think if you, and Ryan and I have had this conversation many times in the past, that like when you're talking signature holes, it always kind of is a par 3, because I think that's what we all remember the most of courses. But at Hollywood, number 4 in the front 9 is, and probably has to be, the signature hole on that 9. Don't you agree?
Yeah, it's one of those that everybody remembers when they play. So I think one of the cool aspects of the golf course and the routing of it is the 3rd green is one of our toughest greens. It's a huge green back to front. When you're playing the black tees all the way back, you're 460, 470. You're walking off that green a lot of times with a struggle, like 3, 4 putting. Like the scores are never really bad because there's no trouble to get into, but they're never great. So sometimes you walk, it's a very short walk. You just cross the bunkers, all of a sudden you're on the 4th tee. You got to be able to kind of put that 3rd green behind you sometimes. And then the 4th hole is this 130 to 150 yard par 3. It's got these huge volcano bunkers, 3 of them on the left side, a giant one right in front of the green, huge false front on the green, and then a couple bunkers on the right that shouldn't be in play, but sometimes they are. But the surface area of the green to land a ball and keep it on the green, I mean, it's got to be one of the smallest flat spots in New Jersey to land a green. And you can really only see the top of the false front. You can't even see your ball when it lands. Like it's kind of a blind landing zone. So you have to really trust the yardage. The way the wind is here, it almost always plays either straight downwind or straight into the wind. So it's really about like being confident with your club selection. That's one of those greens that, again, we talk about like what I'll teach out there. Where do you miss? Long, short, left, or right? On that green, you can't miss anywhere. It's either you hit the green or you're struggling for a 3. Like there's no easy up and down because there's just not a big surface to even chip or pitch a ball to. So you'll see a lot of birdies in that hole because it's a short club in your hand, but you're going to see a lot of blowups too. It's one of those that you want to make birdie because you have a short iron in hand, but it's a 3 is a great score every time you play that hole.
Yeah, I mean, as I think about the golf course, I think that's where my memory stands really so much on is number 4 for a lot of reasons, just because of it. And I think honestly, for someone like me who hasn't been there in quite some time, like that's where now my memory goes blank. Like I don't remember 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 is kind of like Was there like a clubhouse, like a halfway house after 9 behind
Yep.
it?
Yep.
That's about the extent that I remember of 5 through 9. So
Yeah.
so why don't you do me a favor here and kind of like refresh my memory from 5 through 9? What is that little stretch like?
Yeah. So 5 through 9, you get 4 tough par fours. 8 might be considered a slightly easier par four just because the green is one of our flattest greens. But in general, and then 7's a par 5 where par again is a really good score. So par 5's a dog leg right to left, prefers to draw off the tee. If you can't draw it off the tee, you probably have to lay back a little bit because if you can't kind of curve it around the corner, there's some big trees right in the corner. You're going to be left with 150, 170 out. But if you can hit a draw off the tee and the fairways are firm, you can run it up to a wedge and the green's got no flat spot on it. I mean, there's just these little humps and bumps all over the place. It's a really, really tough green to read. So again, looking at the stats last night, like one of the rounds in our clam bake played is the easiest hole in the golf course. So in the front right, it's a kind of the only small flat spot. And I think we played it as a drivable four. We moved the tees over to the right, so you didn't have to cut the corner as much. And everyone either drove the green or had a little chip shot in. So you can play it that way if they set it up. Or if they set it up in the back tee near the woods and you really have to curve the ball, it's a legit four, where 4 is, again, a good score. 6 is straightaway par 4. If it's into the wind, plays really hard. If it's downwind, it doesn't play that hard. Massive fairway bunkers on the right. Nothing really, no trouble really left side of the hole. So the issue with that hole is if you aim down the middle of the fairway, those fairway bunkers come into play pretty quickly, and they all have huge lips, and they're really hard to get to the green. Generally, you aim down the left side of that fairway. Even if you end up in the left rough, you can make a score. The green has, instead of fall offs, so this has a false front green, but then all 4 edges of the green actually feed towards the middle of the green. So if you hit the green, you're not going to have a long putt because it's usually going to feed towards the hole. But if you miss the green, chipping on that green, you're almost always landing on a downslope, and it becomes really hard. So again, it's all about kind of hole location, wind, tee location. It could play easy, could play hard. 7 is straightaway par 5. The fairway kind of snakes a little bit, but the way it's designed is the green is kind of at like a 30-degree diagonal from the fairway. So the original design was the layup, you kind of have to challenge kind of green side or 100 yards short, but stay really far right so you can have an angle into this. It's a 4-tier green. Like there's 3 legitimate tiers to it. Again, you look at the stats from last year. There was one day that 2 pros made birdie. That was obviously when the hole was in the back, tiny little shelf, and there's fall offs in every direction. So most guys are going to go for that in 2. It's just a hard up and down if you don't hit the green. And hitting the green, because it's designed to come in from the short right, you're not holding a lot of. There's some guys that have some speed, but if you're not hitting it really high, really soft from 250 out, you're not going to be able to land it on the green and stop it. So that's less than. You're right. It's like less than 1% of anybody who's going to play this golf course is going to be able to do that. So inevitably, it's a short game hole, and with all the tiers on that green, you really have to be able to read the green during your wedge shot. So it's a challenge. I remember I hit the green in 2 a couple of years ago in Clambake when I think I finished 3rd or 4th here, and I made a 7 on the hole. So I hit the green, putted it off a tier, went all the way off the front, had to go up 2 slopes to get back to the hole location, hit it up 3 slopes, and then 2 putted from there. And all of a sudden I walk off the 7. It can be brutal. And you're going to see that sometimes. You're going to see like some crazy stuff happen around that green. If you just had a camera on the 7th green all day, you'd have entertainment for the week. I mean, it's hard.
I might have to set one up. We could have a blooper film. I'd probably be the star of it. I'd be the star of it
out there. I don't know if you want to do that.
Not to mention that
and then 8 and 9 are kind of
that bunker in front is cavernous. The bunker that guards it on the left side, but I guess the front side is, if you're in it, it's 10 feet overhead.
Yeah, so that's one of our big bunkers. So there's a lot of big bunkers in this course that you kind of want to avoid. That's one of them, right? So you go for that green 2, you accidentally pull it left. This green, I don't know how big it's going to be, but it covers the entire space of the green and 30 yards left of the green. You might have a 40-yard carry green side bunker shot to a green that slopes away from you on every tier. So it slopes a little bit kind of back left to front right. So that left green side bunker, good luck keeping it on the green if you're in that bunker. So you think you hit a great second shot, you just catch the lip. It's one of the harder up and downs you're going to find. So yeah, it's going to be some fun stuff around that green. I've seen some stuff. Then you get to 8, 9, you finish the front 9, and they're 2, again, kind of depending on wind and hole location. They could be easy par 4s. They could be kind of tough par 4s. The 8th green or the 8th hole, you have a little fairway bunker on the right, middle of the fairway. If the tees are all the way back, it's a tough carry over that. If the tees are slightly forward, everyone's just going to kind of try to carry it over that bunker and have a wedge into a fairly flat green. So that's a birdie hole. If the tees are back and it's into the wind, it plays as you might be hitting 7 or 8 iron into the green. And again, the bunker guarding on the left side there is 10 feet deep. So it's just not an easy one if you're laying back at all. And then 9 is very much, we have 4 different tee boxes there. The green is kind of separated into a couple different tiers. So it kind of depends on where the tee box and the tier is, but this is our narrowest fairway. There's some pot bunkers on the right side of the fairway that you just can't be in. Like, you have to avoid those at all costs because they're generally a chip out. There's OB about 10 yards right of those pot bunkers. And then there's trees and fescue guarding the left side of the fairway. So this is a kind of sack up and hit a straight ball off the tee because there really isn't any other option. So I think I usually aim my driver if I'm all the way back up the left edge of the fairway in rough. If the tee's up a little bit, I might hit an iron off the tee. It kind of depends, you're into the round at that point. Like, how good do you feel? Do you want to challenge some of these bunkers that are there and have a wedge into a green and make it a birdie hole? Or are you laying back and just trying to hit front of the green and 2-putt? Like, it kind of depends on the mindset at that point, but it's a super fun hole. It's a great ending. It's a really hard hole, but it's a great finish to a front side that plays a little easier than the backside.
And that means on the front 9, if my math is right, that's only 1 par 3 and only 1 par 5 for
Correct.
a par 36 on the front.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a unique routing. It's a really cool routing, right? So we've got 3 par 3s in the golf course. We have 4, and then you don't hit another par 3 until 15. 4, 15, and 17. Par 5s, you have only 7 and 10. So 7 runs one way, and you parallel it with the 10th hole. So you always have 1 into the wind and 1 downwind. And those are the only 2 par 5s. Now, our 16th hole plays as like a 4/5. When we're playing the back tees, usually call it a par 4. You can call it whatever you want. It's a 470-yard uphill hole, right? If it plays as a 4, it's a hard hole. If it plays as a 5, it's an easy hole. But generally, it's a par. I consider this course a par 71, even though some scorecards say 72. 3 par 3s, 2 par 5s, and then par 4s of every variety: short, long, dogleg left, dogleg rights. I mean, it'll challenge every aspect of your game.
Yeah, I don't know how the NJSGA will play the second par 5 on the second par 5 on the back 9.
Yeah.
I have not heard that. My knowledge is not very good and my memory is not the best, but so I can't even remember what it was back in the day. But I think as you make the turn to 10's a par 5, if I remember correctly, kind of going up the hill a little bit there.
A little bit, yeah. It goes kind of down and then up, and then your second shot, you have to hit over these kind of massive bunkers, all these little pop bunkers that kind of cut the fairway in half. So you have to there's a bunker on the right side that's got about 11 or 12 foot high fair lip. It's a big bunker, but it catches a lot of drives, right? If you're flying at 300, you can kind of carry it, but if you're not, like most people, that's in play. So the left rough is not a bad play over there. And then you're kind of hitting a blind second to a very, very kind of small slopey green with a false front, false left. And like, it becomes, again, a short game contest, just like our 7th hole. It's fairly easy to get by or on the green in 2, but you better wedge and putt. You better be able to read a putt and read a wedge shot to make a score on that hole. And if you happen to find one of the fairway bunkers, whether it's the big one on the right off the tee, or somehow you're trying to lay up and you might have one of the other ones, like, it's a hard 5. So you'll see eagles in that hole. You'll see bogeys or doubles because OB runs all along the right again as well. So you'll see a lot of stuff. Our par 5s are fun and unique. They're not the hardest, but depending on the wind, they could play hard. So after that par 5, we have OB that runs along the right on 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 14. So this is where the drawers of the golf ball really love this part of the golf course. So 11, again,
that's all I can do. That's all I can do. If you ask me hit a cut, there's no shot a cut can be hit. Okay, it's just going to be like I don't even know, a slap fade. I don't even know what you would call it because I can't even do it. I can only really draw the ball, and I say that, and I'll get there that day, and I'll hit nothing but push cuts all day. But like naturally, my ball flight is nothing but right to left. And Ryan has said to me, he's like, "Well, listen, if you hit your draw, this is one golf course that might be able to suit your game." And you start talking carry 300, I don't even know what that world is like. I'm more like, maybe if I can get it like 260, 270, that's like on the ground rolling. That's a plus for someone like me.
Well, there's no.
Yeah, I mean, you see that
for Mike, for you, there's nothing where you need to go right you can always go right to left. Like we just talked about, there's out of bounds 9, 10, 11. Like you can start it right. So like the ninth hole, I imagine you starting it at the bunker that Bryan said to avoid, and just letting your draw push it over. It's going to be to be honest, I
Make
think
it sound so
no.
easy. You make it sound like a video game. Like a video game. Mike, started out 5 yards right, just bend it a little bit around the
No,
turn. And listen, it'll all be pretty. You'll shoot 65 and you'll be the
No,
man.
I do think.
Yeah, I wish it was that easy.
I think you're going to have a good day off the tee. I really do. I think as long as you can trust your draw, I think you're going to be aiming, like again on 9. You're going to aim right smack in the middle of that bunker and just let your draw take it the 15 yards that it does, and it's going to be right in the middle of the fairway. I really think that that for you, the tougher part is going to be those second shots onto the greens, because they're and not because you can't, not because your draw isn't there, but because the whole placement, the putting, the short game, like all that kind of stuff is going to be. But I think off the tee, you're going to have a great day.
You can hit a draw here all day, because if it turns into a hook, you're fine on almost every hole. Right? There's very few holes where if you overdraw it, it's going to get you in a lot of trouble. Like there's always a shot. Either you might have to go under. Our trees are pruned phenomenally here, so you'll always have like a 20-foot window-ish to go under trees. The fescue hasn't grown in that thick yet, so you guys are getting lucky where if you came in, 3 or 4 more weeks, maybe the fescue's a little thicker. But right now it's like there's not a ton of trouble if you overdraw it. So we get to like the 11th hole is a perfect example. So it's a short par 4. It's got a slight dog leg left to it. And there's a fairway bunker at like 260. So a lot of people are going to lay up a little bit before that, or you can try to sneak it a little bit to the right of it to, again, get closer to the green. And this is very, very much like the second hole, where there's a top tier on the green, and then there's a big, slopey, flat spot in front of it and a false front. So it's very hole location. I think this is another one. It played as the hardest hole in our clam bake last year in round 2 for 380 yards, because there was 1 birdie, 5 doubles, and 1 other, just because the hole location was in the back tier. And if the greens are firm and you land it in the back tier, it bounces out of bounds. I mean, it's very close to the rough, but out of bounds is 5 yards, 6 yards behind the green. So it's when you don't even go for it. So if you overdraw it, you just have to kind of fit a shot through the trees. There's a giant bunker from 30 yards short of the green to 100 yards short of the green on the right side that you just don't want to be in. I can't remember the nickname we call it here, but it's a Sahara-type bunker that's just massive. It takes you 5 minutes to walk in, hit your ball, then walk back out. I mean, you just can't be in there. Most of us will avoid that bunker anyway. So a very hole location dependent on the score there. And then you get to our other signature hole, which is the 12th hole. So the 12th hole,
that's 100%. That's it.
Right,
I mean, that hole from the tee box is like one of the best aesthetically pleasing drives that someone could hit, because again, my memory is not the greatest, but I vividly remember standing on 12's tee box and looking at this and probably saying, I could take a gazillion pictures and the next one would be just as good as the first one I took.
Yeah, it's the 4th hole and then the 12th hole stand out because they're so aesthetically pleasing with the bunkers. So the 12th hole used to be called Heinz 57 because it used to be 57-ish bunkers on the golf course, right? Since Doak's renovation, we kind of combined a couple into bigger bunkers. I think there still is like 30-ish bunkers on that one hole. So it depends on where the tees are played. If they put you guys all the way back on that hole, it's usually into the prevailing wind. It's 460 yard into the wind par 4. It's a big fairway for you to hit driver to, but you're generally hitting 7-iron to hybrid into the green, and the green falls off left into a bunker, falls off right into like thick rough, falls off in the front where it's a fairly easy chip up onto the green. This is one of these really flat, long greens because the hole's hard enough, so there's a lot of space in the green, but there's trouble on all the edges. So you're hitting a long club that we usually can't control where our long club is going, right? If it's within 30 yards of a target, like I'm okay with it. So it's a short game hole, right? So this is no matter what day you're playing, no matter where the tees are, 4 is a great score, even in better ball on that hole. It's a par 4.5. It's always plays tougher if we just look at gross score compared to our 16th hole, which is that 4/5. Even if you call it a par 5 on a scorecard, call 12 a par 4, the overall scoring average will always be harder on 12 than 16. So it's one of those that you have to be happy walking away with a par on that hole. Like you can't be looking at scores like, oh, everybody's birdieing this hole. It's never going to happen. So just be happy with a 4.
Yeah. And then I get into the next stretch here because, again, I if I remember correctly, 13 is kind of like, do you hit out of a shoot a little bit? It's like a dog leg left a little bit there. For some reason, I feel like that kind of sticks in my mind.
Yep. So 13 is a cool hole. This is one of the ones I looked at the stats last night. It surprised me how little birdies there really were on this hole. So from, as the crow flies, tee box to green, it's like 260, 270 yards. But it's a 90-degree dog leg left. It's got it's got bunkers spread out all over the place, right? So if you have a high draw there's a bunch of tall trees that are about 50 yards short of the green that kind of front the green as the defense, and there's a couple bunkers that are greenside. If you can hit a high draw, or if lefty hit a high fade, like you can drive the green. It's possible. Not probable. I've done it once in my 8 years here, just by accident. And I hit a draw. I hit a high draw. That's my ball flight. I just can't do it. Every time I think I hit a good drive, it catches the top of the tree, drops down into fescue, and you're chipping to a downslope and to a tiny green, and it's bogey written all over. So most guys will play straight out where there's not a ton of trouble, and then 90 degrees to the green where you'll have a wedge shot in no matter where you kind of hit your drive. And the green is the super small, slope back to front, long. There's a little creek that kind of runs long on the green. And then if you're in a greenside bunker, everybody is. They're firmer than a lot of our other bunkers here because so many people are in these bunkers. And it's a hard up and down. So even though it's either a 4-iron wedge or a 3-wood wedge or 3-wood chip shot on, it's not an automatic birdie hole. So it's very, again, hole location dependent. It's like play it smart. This is a fun 4-ball hole, right? You get one guy to play smart and the other guy to play aggressive because you figure, all right, the smart guy's in the fairway. He should make 4. But the green is so small, you got to be pretty exact with your wedge shots. So it's a really cool short par 4. It's one of the holes I've warmed on in my 8 years here. I used to not really love it because I'm like, I can't drive the green on a short par 4. But you can. It's really hard. You have so many options off the tee. So you just have to commit to whatever you choose, either a layup over the fairway bunkers to like the 40 to 60 yard pitch shot area, or you try to go for the green and you just hope for a greenside bunker shot. So you got to be very decisive on your strategy there. And then after this is my favorite hole in the course. It is the hardest hole in the course when you're playing the back tees, 14. You go up a hill. You have to thread your drive between 2 bunkers. Bunker on the right looks closer than it is, like you can carry it. But the further you try to carry it, the more right the bunker is, the further the carry is. And it plays 10, 12 yards uphill from the tee box. So you'll shoot 250, but it's like if you miss it a little right to the right side of the bunker, it's like a 280 carry over the bunker. And it's not easy. And then you'll get to you'll crest the kind of. Yeah, I mean
I might be short of the bunker. Hell, I might be short of the bunker with my driver.
Nah, you'll be fine. You'll be right between the 2 bunkers, but there's only like a 30-yard wide zone, so you kind of have to hit a good drive there, right? Then you crest the hill, you're walking up, and then you go this big downhill second shot with a mid-iron to this massive, massive green, and then we've got our only really in play penalty area with water there that fronts this green. Where the only trouble you can really get into with water around this golf course is that little creek short of the green. But there were so little birdies here made last year. I was shocked. It was like 11 total birdies through, 100, let's call it 250 pros playing this hole. 11 total birdies. The green is so hard to read. There's such subtleties to the green. You have to hit a good drive. You have to hit a good iron, and then it's a really tough green to read. So again, one of these where 4 is it's going to play over par in a 4-ball, better ball too. It will play over 4. So birdie is a great thing, but there will be teams making bogey on this hole. So it's a great par 4. Really hard, really, really hard.
And then tell us about the stretch coming in. You got 4 holes coming in after that, 2 of which are par 3s. What's the final 4 looking like coming in?
Yeah, so you get par 3 15th, which is one of the more underrated par 3s, I think, in the entire state. It's a kidney-shaped green. So think of like looking at it like a backwards L. So you have a vertical column on the right, and then it goes horizontal in the front. It's got a 10-foot-ish high bunker, giant bunker that guards the front. The green is fairly narrow in most of the hole location spots. And then there's a big hump of rough behind the green. So short of the green, big bunker. Behind the green, this huge hump of rough where you have to be pretty exact with your yardage, your carry distance. So it's a big green overall in square footage, but there's a spine in the middle of the green. You've got this hump right kind of in the middle of that L that catches a lot of balls, and then you're chipping from a downslope if you hit a little bit too long. And I swear this green is deceptively one of the fastest greens in the course. I always think it's a little bit slower, but it ends up being fast. It's a tough par 3. Then you get to 16 where you want to make 4 or maybe even 3. Like it's a hard green, but it's a fairly easy drive. It's straight out there. Everyone's going to have probably an iron into the green. And then the green's got this little bowl in the middle. It all depends on where the hole location is, whether it's birdieable, but almost everyone's going to be on or near the green in 2. and definitely a birdie hole. And then you get to our most newly renovated hole, which is our 17th hole. We expanded this one a couple of years ago, and from the back, it plays anywhere from 230 to 250, depending on the hole location. If they put the tees up a little bit where our members play from, it's still 200 to 210 to this massive green with a hump in the middle of it. So if you end up on the wrong side of that and the greens are fast, you're going to have 8 to 12 feet for your par save, even if you're on the green. So it's one, again, where 3 is a phenomenal score on that hole. And then our finisher is just an unbelievable finishing hole. The new routing between you walk off 17 green, you walk right into the tee box to 18. I've played it twice this last month. I played with a member a few weeks ago. It was into the wind. We were playing all the way back. I hit great driver, great 5-iron to the middle of the green. So it played 490 yards, we'll call it. Then I played it with another member the next week. I hit good driver and sand wedge into the green because it was downwind. So it kind of all depends on the wind, because the fairway is going to be firm, and you're either going to sit softly if it's into the wind, or it's downwind and you might be able to make it a birdie hole. So it's a great finish. It's a great view. The bunkers are well placed. Again, aesthetically pleasing bunkers that are real functional. It's an awesome finishing stretch where you can birdie. A lot of finishers come like 15 through 18. You can make birdies 15, 16, 18. But if the wind is wrong, like, you're happy kind of making par in all those holes. So like I said, it's from the beginning, this is one of the most fair golf courses you're ever going to play. You're not going to lose golf balls here, right? It's all about, can you keep the drives in play? Can you hit an iron in strategically good spots? And then you better have a short game around here. Like, it's all about the short game here. And you better have all the shots with the wedges, the high soft one, the low running one, one's the check, ones that run out. And then you need to be a good reader of the greens, because they're super deceptive. That's kind of a Walter Travis signature. The greens are just really deceptive. So it's tough to make a lot of putts. You don't have too many giant breaking putts, but they're always kind of edges or just off the edges of the hole. It's a lot of fun. Everybody's going to enjoy their time here.
Bryan, what's your like amen corner here? We just went through all the holes. What's the stretch of like 3 holes or 4 holes that you're like, this you need to, if you play it par or better, you've done a good job? What's your like maybe prediction on that?
Yeah, I love that stretch of 12, 13, 14, right? So 12 is, comparable to like 11 at the Masters, right? Like 4 is a great score. Like, good luck. You're hitting a long club into the green. The green's not easy. Like, good luck. Then you get to 13, which is a short, drivable par 4. Like, you want to make birdie, you're going to have a wedge in your hand for your second shot. So anytime these guys that qualify for this event have a wedge in their hand, they're expecting to make birdie. But you can also get in trouble quick if you miss the tee shot a little bit, or your wedge is just a little off. You're saving pars. So very similar to like a 13 at Augusta, where they're all going in hoping for birdie, and then one shot's off, and all of a sudden they're trying to save the hole, right? And then 14, if you're playing back, is such a hard golf hole. If the tee box moves forward and you can drive it over that right bunker, it's all of a sudden not a hard hole, right? You drive it through over the bunker, fairway runs down the hill, like you might have a wedge into the green. But if it's playing all the way back, man, it's tough. So you get through that stretch at even par, you're feeling good. But if you can be under par in that 12, 13, 14 stretch, you're gaining a lot of shots on the field. And I think that's definitely the stretch it'll make some teams and it'll break some teams.
And then obviously when I look at last year, it was at Hamilton Farm, another great, great golf course. The stroke play side of it, which is Tuesday, is, just better ball to make it to match play starting on Wednesday. Last year, someone at Hamilton Farm shot 10 under 62, was the better ball medalist on the stroke play round. If you had to make a prediction of what you thought the medalist would be on Tuesday, May 7th, the stroke play round, what number you have in mind?
I think somewhere right around the same. I think you'll have a team or two, because the long hitters have a little bit of an advantage here because they're hitting a lot of wedges into greens, so you tend to just have more putts in general. So you can make 9, 10 birdies. Look at, like, we host a lot of U.S. Open local qualifiers. There's always 1 or 2 guys that go so low. Like, I think Chris Goddard did it a few years ago, beat the field by 4 shots just because he had driver wedge into every green, right? And you find that hot putter, you can probably, depending on hole locations, every hole here could kind of be a birdie hole. So you'll find 10-ish under par. But I think there'll probably be 4 or 5 teams at the top that I would guess in stroke play will separate themselves a little. And then the scores to get in, I don't think are going to be that low. It's one of those that you might think you need 6, 7 under, but I don't think you'll need to go that low in the qualifier. Like, it's amazing how I don't get to play here all that often. I work too much, but every time I play, it's like you go in thinking, oh, it looks easy. Like the fairways are big, the greens are big. Like I should make birdie all the time, but the conditions, you guys should have great conditions. And I just think it's going to play a little harder than what everybody thinks. And again, it's a lot of it's wind dependent, right? A mile from the ocean. If the wind picks up a little bit, I mean, it could be hard. So then we're not going to see 10 under if the wind picks up. So we'll see.
Oh, that's great. That's great. But listen, Ryan, I don't know if you have any other questions you want to fire his way.
No, I was just going to say, Bryan, we appreciate you doing this. Mike, we're not actually putting this episode out. Mike just wanted a little tutorial on the course, so it was nice to join. It is really cool to kind of speak for the golf course and kind of speak, not as the teaching pro at Hollywood, but as talk about the course as the course. So this was really cool. So thanks for jumping on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime, guys. I mean, I sent Mike a message originally about this because I started thinking about the 4-ball, like what scores might. It's just fun to think about this course. It brings there just isn't a negative word to ever be said about this place, whether it's the club or the course. And it looks great, and then it plays either there's easy, there's hard. It's got everything you could want in a golf course, and it's just so much fun. It's a pleasure to actually talk about it. And I'm actually, just talking about it gets me a little bit excited for a few weeks when I'm here, or I guess about 4 weeks for our clam bake event for the New Jersey PGA. So yeah, man, I'm excited. Best of luck to you, Mike. And you got that horse you're riding. So it could be a lot of fun. Maybe you're the 10 under team. Who knows?
Oh, maybe he's the 10 under guy, and I'm just on the team. Yeah. Listen, I have no problem being Steve Kerr, just hanging out, hitting a few shots every so often. Hey, that's what you need me for. I'm here. But
Steve
listen,
Kerr, Robert, you be the Robert Ory of the team. That's all.
Big
shot
Bob.
Don't let him fool you.
I'll take it.
He birdied 18 in the qualifiers for them to be medalists. So don't let him fool you.
Yep. I heard.
Every blind squirrel finds an acorn, Bryan. But listen, I appreciate you coming on today to kind of showcase Hollywood, and we'll see you in a week or so. So thanks again for hopping on.
Yeah, no problem at all, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.